Yeah, I still hold out hope that someday we'll get Bloodborne on PC. Still holding out hope someday. Yeah, if the port's good, yeah. I mean, I still haven't even done an update for PS5. Like, even if they just did, like, a remaster, like, I think that's their window. I think that's the in for them, is if they actually did, like, a full-on remaster. And then they could make it to where... you know, it expands beyond just PlayStation. That's the window. And you know what? You know what I'll say about that too? I think that it is a lot more, like, despite the fact that it hasn't happened yet, I do think that the likelihood of it happening has definitely increased over the last year, especially considering that a lot of games now from Sony, like that have been like licensed by Sony, have been coming to PC. Like, I think honestly, like if it were not for God of War getting a PC port, I would have probably said, and I did say actually up until that point, that it was never going to happen. But I would actually say that it could very well happen. Like, if they would do it to God of War, right? Like, if they would bring something like God of War, which has always been on PlayStation as an exclusive, if they would break down those barriers for something like God of War, it would not surprise me if they would be willing to consider it for Bloodborne. They'll only do it if there's money for them. Well, I'd say, considering how successful this game was, there's definitely money in it. People that this is their first game and they're playing it on PC, right? And all of a sudden they're like, oh, Bloodborne's coming to PC? Like, Bloodborne is regarded as one of the best games ever made. And this game is probably giving Bloodborne a run for its money. So, like, when you look at it from that angle, I definitely think that Sony, because Sony has the rights to all that stuff. Like, it's, even though it's a FromSoft game, it's really Sony that's going to be making the decision whether or not to release it to PC. And I definitely could see if FromSoft was down to do a remaster, you know, bringing it up to 4K, 60 FPS, right? If they could do that and make it available on PC, it would definitely make money on current gen.
Turning root to 80, you need to the foot. Then summon me. I bequeath. It will summon torrent. Treat him with.
Horizon, Death Stranding, God of War are all definitely exclusive Sony. So it's a trend they're willing to continue. Oh yeah, exactly. And that's why I think that it's not hopeless for Bloodborne. If we hadn't seen that much movement in the exclusive space, like opening up so much potential for like older games, I wouldn't even think twice about it, to be honest. I would have stuck with my guns when I said it a couple years ago that it was never going to happen. But I wouldn't say never anymore. Like, my opinion's definitely changed on that in the last 2 years, I would say. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, though, I would have said no chance. No chance. They're never going to remaster or remake it or do any of that. But yeah, I mean, I would say with where we're at today, it could happen. And, you know, we don't know of really any other major FromSoft stuff. That would be in the works from FromSoft. So I mean, now that Elden Ring is done, which like Elden Ring was their big project for the last 5 years. I mean, they were working on Elden Ring and Sekiro at the same time. Like, think about that. Like, Elden Ring started production like around the same, like maybe like a year after Sekiro started production. How crazy is that? Like this game had a largely overlapping development cycle on Sekiro. Like, this thing started pre-production when Sekiro was like very, 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 very early in full development. Like, this game has been their baby for the last 5 years. And I have a hard time imagining that they've got anything bigger than this planned right now. I mean, now would be a great time to remaster Bloodborne. Like, if they're gonna do it, like, now would be the best time, if they're ever gonna do it, to ride the fucking coattails of the success of this game. Because here's the thing, it's not like you're really taking a gamble, you know? Like, and that's the thing, from a business standpoint, now would be the time to do it. Think about it, right? Like, you have Elden Ring, which is like arguably one of the most successful video games ever made. Not even most successful in terms of like the fact that it's sold so many copies, but the fact that like it's just loved by so many people. Like, this game is going to go down in history as one of the greatest games ever made. Like, that's crazy. And Elden Ring is also going down in history as one of the greatest games ever made. So why not ride the coattails of that from this game and remaster your other game that's also like the greatest game ever made? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's something to that, you know? I feel like if you're a business and you're like, man, we could really make some cash on this, you need to like pull the trigger. I would greenlight it. If I were at Sony right now, I would greenlight that in a fucking heartbeat if I was the decision maker on it. Like, whoever's sitting in their desk, you know, that can sign off on something like that, I would already be pushing for it, knowing that this game sold 12 million copies and that Bloodborne is arguably the better game. And I say arguably because I think honestly that's going to depend on who you ask. There's going to be people that think Bloodborne was a way better game than this. There's going to be people that argue the other way. Like, I think Bloodborne's bosses are way better than this game. But I also think that to take a concept like Bloodborne and Dark Souls and all that and to make it open world, this game just did it so well that, like, sacrificing some of the boss complexity for that is honestly, like that's just, like, such a small thing. That's just such a small piece of it. Come on, dude. Quit trolling, man. Scarab has been in full troll mode all day today. I think Bloodborne's better. Game deserves all the praise it's gotten. Oh, for sure. I think honestly, like, it's a toss-up for me. Like, I like Dark Souls 3 a lot. And, like, if you asked me, I think Dark Souls 3 is my favorite prior to this game's release, and now I don't even know. Because I think this game is a lot better than Dark Souls 3 in a lot of ways. But, like, now it almost makes me want to play Bloodborne again. Before I, like, fully solidify that, because maybe Bloodborne is the better game for me now that I'm... Like, here's the thing, I think part of the reason why I feel a lot more compelled to play Bloodborne again is because, like, I feel a lot more experienced now. Like, I feel like the last several years has sort of culminated and really pushed the limits of my gaming skills to a whole new height. That, like, Bloodborne was really hard. Bloodborne was really, really hard for me. I loved it, don't get me wrong. I loved the game, but it was really hard for me. And like like all it wanted me to, it just made me want to play Dark Souls that much more. But it's hard to say with like this game though, like, because like I said, I mean, I want to like this more than Dark Souls 3, but Dark Souls 3 was just like such a damn good game. And like I said, I mean, this game just did all of the open world stuff so well, except for the platforming. Not a big fan of the fall damage in this game. I appreciate that you don't take half of your health in fall damage like you do in Dark Souls 3 for falling like 5 feet. I appreciate that part, but like, it just, the fact that you really can't even like begin to predict what kind of falls are gonna like deal damage and which ones are gonna kill you, like, it's a little frustrating. Like, there's no way to really like do it in a way that feels safe. No, Kai, they didn't. Still runs like trash on PS5. Bloodborne 2 more likely than a remaster? I don't think so. I don't think they'll do Bloodborne 2. It doesn't, I don't think it has, I think the lore as a, like a solo IP, I don't think that you'll be able to do a sequel and do it better than the original. Like, I think you're literally setting the game up to fail by doing a sequel, or you're setting the franchise up to fail by doing a sequel. I think the lore is very self-contained in that game. And to try to do a sequel would sort of, like, you might as well just do another IP. For Elden Ring, I played Bloodborne again. I was just amazed at how great it felt. I would have said DS3 was my favorite till then. See, that's kind of where I'm at. Is I feel like if I went back and played Bloodborne again, I feel like I might actually change my opinion. Like, I might actually say Bloodborne is better now that I'm a lot more experienced with it, you know? I never even did the DLC in Bloodborne. Bloodborne's everyone's favorite. If they made it work with more frame rate, the game would be #1 overall. Yeah, I mean, there's a mod that changes the frame rate, but the problem is that it, like, there's a lot of like engine stability problems on that version of the engine, and I think that's ultimately why they didn't. Like, a lot of people are like, dude, it's literally one line of code, there's mods for it and stuff. I don't think they understand that, like, they didn't make the game to run at 60 FPS, and so the problem is that when you have a game that's only running at, I think it's 30 or 45, I don't remember what the actual frame rate is of it. Like, there's things that are bound to frame rate in the game that will not work properly. Like, there are a lot of things that will break if the code isn't reviewed. Used to 60 FPS long ago, I was fine with 30. You know what's funny about that is, like, I've been spoiled by 120 FPS for so long that, like, I will say it does sadden me that this game doesn't support higher frame rate than 60. What I hope happens is whatever FromSoft does after this, I hope they take the time before they start. And this is why I think this is the perfect time for Bloodborne to come back and take the spotlight with an HD remaster. Is that I hope they take the time before their next big project to get another engine. Like, any engine that's not this. Because this engine has a lot of problems. And I think that's why, like, the games never work right off of, 1.0, is because they work pretty well on console, but this engine, whatever they're using, I honestly don't even know what engine it is, but I believe it is built on top of Unreal 4, since pretty much every game is either using some, like, if they're not using Unreal or Unity, whatever like engine they're using is usually like a modified version of it. Like RE Engine, for example, that Capcom uses, that's not like their own proprietary engine. It's actually Unity. They just put a fresh coat of paint on it and they called it their own engine. But I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks great, but it's not. They did not build RE Engine from the ground up. They used Unity and they tailored the post-processing stack to be able to get those, like, lighting effects that are giving their latest games that, like, sort of like iconic look. It's basically just a custom filter, as it were. For those of you that use them on Instagram, that's basically what that is they basically have their own filters that they have built to assemble on top of the Unity engine to make it look more original. But it's pretty much completely Unity outside of that. Which means that RE games are probably coded in C# if that's the case. Since Unity uses C# primarily. I like C# a lot. That was the primary language that I studied in college. And I think it honestly, like, there's people that swear by C++. I'm pretty sure C++ is, like, the most inefficient of all of the programming languages that are used in, like, today's standards. Like, today's standardized environment, well, I don't know, Lua might be pretty bad, too. But I don't know Lua. I couldn't even tell you. Lua, I also feel like, is only used anymore because of the fact that Blizzard still uses it for, like, half their shit. Much preferred PHP. I didn't dabble too much in PHP, if at all. Actually, I don't think I even messed with it a little bit, to be honest with you. I didn't mind C# at all. I actually felt like it's pretty straightforward. It's not like Python straightforward, where you can just, like, basically talk to the computer in English and tell it what to do. Python is very, very easy to learn. I actually recommend that everybody picking up a programming language for the first time learn Python, because it's so easy. You basically just tell the computer what you want to do in English, and then and then it just does it. It's a little bit more involved than that, but that's a basic idea. I wrote, when I was using that spinny wheel last year, I wrote that in Python in like 2 hours. Took me about 6 total, because I had to make some changes and push out some updates for it to like make it work the way I wanted. But if you have someone try and start with C++, they'll never want to code again. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. When I was in college, the C++ classes that I took, they went right over my head. Right over my head. I coasted through those classes because I was just like, dude, I don't need C++ to code in Unity, so why am I learning this class? That was honestly, that was literally the way I was looking at it. I was like, okay, so I'm taking this class because I need to learn another language. But I honestly wish that they had just like given me another C# course instead, like, because it was kind of pointless. It's kind of pointless to take a C++ course if as a game developer, when my degree is for programming in C# with Unity, it's kind of pointless to teach me C++ because I'm not going to use that at all, like at all, if I'm using Unity. I thought about de-rusting my my C# skills a little bit. Why go into it all unless you're getting a short history of development of MS languages? Yeah, I used Visual Studio and everything in that class, and like I said, I coasted that class because I couldn't care less about C++, if I'm being honest. There's some people that swear by it. I don't give a shit. I think C# is just a better language, to be honest, like especially for gaming. Like, it's so easy to set up objects to a script and like and to like assign that through a script and then attach that to like 3D stuff. Like, it's so easy, especially in Unity. Like, Unity babies you with that stuff. And before they would let us use Unity, we had to use Panda 3D. And the only reason they made us take this class was because they were like, all right, before we put you in an engine that's literally gonna build your game for you, you need to see how we had to do it back in 1989, all right? And I'm like, wait, what? Like, why are we taking this? Why are we using this engine that they used for, like, Disney used it for, like, one game, and then they never fucking touched it again after that? We used Panda 3D for 2 semesters, and it was the most cringe IDE I've ever seen. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was like, if you wanted to, all right, so hear me out. If you wanted to, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Panda, but it's bad. So if you want to put an object into a 3D environment, it's not like Unity or Unreal where you get a preview window that shows you your X, Y, and Z plane, and you can, you know, drag and drop an item in there and move it around and transform it, rotate it, all that stuff. No, Panda doesn't do that. You have to put all of that into code before anything will show up on your, like, in your 3D environment. There's no preview window. You see what you see after you compile the game and run it. That is how Panda works. It's so bad. It's so bad. It is the most inefficient way to make a game ever. And we had to take 2 semesters of it in college. It was so bad. And it was literally just so that we could learn. It was more of like a history class. It was more of a history class than it was actually learning how to program. Sounds like torture. It was, dude. It was. We got like nothing done in that class because when you can see what your game looks like without having to compile it, that is like, you don't even realize how much time that saves until you actually like use something like Panda and realize how time consuming it is when you can't just see that stuff. Imagine every time you place something not in the right spot, you had to like recompile the game just to get it right. Which, like, if you're talking about a relatively large game, sometimes compiling a build can take like hours. I mean, in our case, we were just making small projects, so it only took a few seconds, but like if you were to compile this game would probably take a full day to compile if you were compiling the whole game. Maybe even longer than that. I mean, this game is 100 and some gigs, right? Like, I think. I don't know how big this game is. But, like, I mean, compiling a game of this size is going to take a long time. What's my favorite game in terms of lore? 2 years ago. Actually, no, 4 years ago. Not 2 years ago. 4 years ago, I would have told you World of Warcraft. Or just like the Warcraft franchise in general. Nowadays, I don't even know. I haven't found... I mean, I like Dark Souls 3 lore, or like just Dark Souls lore in general a lot. But I actually wouldn't mind a reboot of Dark Souls. Like, I feel like if Miyazaki did Dark Souls all over again, he would do it very differently. But yeah, I mean, 4 years ago I would have said Warcraft, like riding off of Legion, because after Legion, like the lore was better than it ever was, and the game was in the best state that it ever was. But they really dropped the ball with Shadowlands, I'm not gonna lie. Like, they really dropped the ball. And, like, BFA was trash, too. How do I feel about Elden Ring's story and lore compared to Bloodborne? I mean, I didn't follow the lore of Bloodborne too much, to be honest. So I couldn't really answer that. What I can tell you is I do like the lore in this game. But I feel like George R.R. Martin's contribution is, like, not as significant as people think. Oh, I already leveled up. What am I doing? Never played WoW, but I always get told it consumes your life. It used to. It's not as fun as it used to be. Kind of wonder where George's contribution begins and ends. From what I understand, he literally just wrote like a short story that kind of established a lot of the characters in the game. And then Miyazaki just kind of took that and made this game from that. I would love if that... I really hope that someday they actually release that short story, because I feel like that would... I feel like fans would love it. played any other Souls games or the other installments' lore as deep and multi-layered as Elden Rings. You want to talk about deep and multi-layered, go play the Dark Souls trilogy. Except don't actually play the trilogy, just play 1 and 3. Dark Souls 2's lore has, like, absolutely nothing to do with the other two games. Like, you could totally skip Dark Souls 2 and totally, like, you know, have a decent understanding just by playing the first two, or by playing 1 and 3. Don't get me wrong, Dark Souls 2 does provide a lot of the, like, in-between lore, which is nice, but it kind of gives you some context as to, like, the rise and fall of civilizations, but like, and the thousands of kingdoms that exist between Dark Souls 1 and 3, but it's not really, like, essential that you play Dark Souls 2. I'm gonna focus for a second here, guys. Yeah. Yeah, the black sheep middle child, let me just be very clear here. Not just the middle child, definitely black sheep caliber. That's right, you gotta roll back on that one. Nice. It was actually a pretty good fight. Yeah, take it easy, Kai. Have a good one, buddy. Yeah, the black screens have been slow on my computer lately.
You'll no match loud, you'll
I'm fast. Yeah, I'm alright. Do okay for myself on these runs, but the worst is yet to come. Let me just say that. Looks good there. We really need a better setup for this. This one is like one of the more toxic setups for the Pegasus glitch, and I really hope that we find a better setup in the next couple weeks, because I'm just like tired of the meme stuff where like you just fall to your death. I feel like it takes too long to set up too. Like, not only is it a super risky setup, it also just seems kind of out of the way. I wanna see if I can't find a better one in the next couple weeks. I want one that's like very consistent, where you don't get like knocked off the ledge. Like, don't get me wrong, it's really not that bad, but when it does kill your run, it's really frustrating. A decent run would be world record. I mean, basically, with the paces that I've been bringing into the second half of the game, if I just live and follow the strats, sub 132 is basically free. Basically. Like, it literally just has to do with not dying more than anything else. Like, my strats are very clean, but there's just, like, always that possibility that... Always the possibility that something just goes, like, catastrophically wrong, and then you lose literal minutes. Come on, dude. I got trolled. I got trolled bad. No. Dude, 1 HP. That was close. Just had to get behind him. That's all I had to do. Hey, Torrent. Hey, bud. Balanced and best values for what, Pixit? tank this. Got it. It's close. It's close.
Weave thy might into being.
Balanced and best, but I have no clue what they relate to. Oh, I got you. I can explain them here in a second. Hold on. So, balanced is where it takes... Oh, come on. Balanced is where it takes... Kind of like if you had, like... I don't know if you, when you were in grade school, if you had, like, weights where, like, you know, a test would count for, like, 50% of your final grade. Balanced is kind of like that, where it takes the splits that you struggle with the most and it puts a weight on them. So that when you PB, it'll divide your time saves up along the splits that have the most weight. Best is just like the absolute best that you've done it. So my best time in this case is a 1:52 on that split, but balanced is 2 minutes and 1 second if you factor in the fact that I've had attempts that didn't go so well, and it's like adjusted the weight accordingly. Good fight. Very good fight. See you, Chief. Pog? Feeling Pog right now? Feeling Pog? Feeling very Pog? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Radon sometimes, where he just, like, doesn't do that sequence that he did on that fight. Because a lot of it's position-based, and I feel like I'm very consistent with my positioning, and sometimes he just trolls. Jesus Christ, man. Come on. Don't do that. Ah, shit. There we go. That was terrible. Very bad fight. Somebody clipped my, like, frame perfect fight with that yesterday. I need to go back and watch that so I can figure out what I'm doing wrong in that fight. Like, it's not a challenging fight. Like, that fight is free. There's basically no way to lose, because the Mimic Tier does 1 HP per hit. With the fists, but the fact that you can lose, like, 30 seconds by not getting a quick kill kind of sucks. Yeah, we still got a couple bosses coming up that control. No, I haven't updated my emotes yet. Hopefully soon. I gotta be careful here. I thought that red wolf aggroed on me. Maybe not. I don't know if anybody has. How funny would it be if it was like super OP? Give you like special powers. One shot. Good doge. Good doge. Let's go. That's good dog. Feeling pog? Feeling pog? You almost never get the one shot on him. You almost never get it. Good dog. I wouldn't say this is the run yet. This is not the run until it's actually the run, okay? This run ain't over till it's over, man. Like, there's so much stuff that can go wrong. Like, even Elden Beast trolled me the other day. Like, I didn't get any break at all, and I only got 2 beams off, and then, like, I had 50% of its health bar left. Which, like, never happens. Like, never ever happens. Like, you almost always get a partial break with the imps. And, like, the one time, I just didn't get it. Wow, what a troll. Really, dude? Dude, he's big trolling, man. I got him. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't like this at all. I'm gonna start running this way. Really, dude? Can you stop? Dude! Chill, man. Chill, it's okay. care. It was troll, but I don't care. Gotta be the worst boss fight in the game? Yeah, I agree with that. Terrible boss. I mean, to be fair, doesn't matter that I killed his twin. They both tried to kill me first. Okay? Self-defense. Thing is, like, you can get super chill gargoyles and you can get super not chill gargoyles. Here's what I will say. The endgame bosses, I've labbed the hell out of those bosses, and they're really not that bad. Melania can still take some pretty aggressive AI patterns. But generally speaking, most of the endgame bosses aren't that bad. It's literally just the bosses here in the Eternal City area that are super troll. And then obviously this boss here. Pretty much from Mimic Tier, and like Mimic Tier is a free fight. It's not even the fact that Mimic Tier is a hard boss, it's just the fact that you can so easily lose time if you don't get like the frame perfect fight. Drink, probably. Good. How are you not dead, dude? Jesus Christ. It's right here, I think. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. I do wish that I was about 30 seconds faster than I am right now. I would feel a lot better going into the second half if I was about 30 seconds faster here in terms of like being on record pace and whatnot. Like, don't get me wrong, we still have 2.5 minutes to spare, which is good. That's really good, but have to rest here because I don't have enough to kill more guys. Well, I guess technically I don't have to because I could rest up top, but it's fine. Oh. that's not too far over. Good. Yeah, the portal just like takes you straight to the capital. Apparently there's a death plane over in that area. I haven't labbed it enough to know exactly where it is, so I've just been taking a slightly wider line, but that line is faster than the old line. So there's a few steps to doing this. So you're going to interact with the thorns. You can't kill him in this state. He doesn't have a health bar. So what we do is we activate the grace, and then we quit out. And then that's going to take us outside of the room. We're going to go through the fog gate. Skip the cutscene. Yeah, this is a new strat. That's why I realized that I didn't have to rest anymore at that grace if I run out of FP, because what we're actually going to do now that we're setting it up this way is that it's going to take us outside the boss room again, but since we activated that grace, we can literally teleport here, which will give us full resources. So I didn't need to rest there before. I completely forgot that it just like removes that step. Don't rest. There we go.
Allow me, you are unprevented. The thorns are husk, the only way and become my purpose. So I'd like to the flame then and guide you.
Yeah, I can save like another 5 seconds there. Like I still have so much save there. I need to stop resting at this grace here because it's just pointless. Normally you would rest at this grace because you don't have enough FP to kill Morgott. But now that we activate that grace and then teleport to it, it automatically replenishes your stuff, so. Don't even have to worry about that. Free 5 second save. hope that's far enough over. Ooh. Alright, well now we get to do a whole lot of nothing for the next, like, 20 minutes. No, it wasn't far enough. Hold on. This is why I go naked, is because it's a lot easier for me to see to set this up if I go naked. I'm not gonna waste time taking my armor off at this point, but I'm just gonna make sure I'm far enough over this time. Should be good now. Wasted like 5 seconds though. It's so much easier to see when I don't have armor on. The armor's bulky, like, doesn't look like it's that bad, but I'm so used to setting it up a certain way. So, just kind of breaking down the rest of the run since we're over halfway done. I'm actually curious to know exactly where the halfway point is in this run. I would think Fia's Champions is like getting to Capital is right about the halfway point, I would think. But it's kind of hard to say. Because, like, I'm on 130-20 pace right now, right? And Fia's Champion split is 45-42. So that'd be 131-20. So, yeah, I would think Fia's Champions is about the halfway mark. But, yeah, so just breaking down the rest of the run. So, I've practiced this midsection pretty well. There's definitely some things that can go wrong, but have been heavily mitigated by just having some better setups. So, just kind of walking through this whole snowy section here. So we're obviously going to be going up towards Fire Giant, but we're not going to be killing Fire Giant for quite a while. All of the lines through here are pretty consistent. This guy here can troll with this line very, 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 very rarely. Before I was taking an L pattern, and he was trolling me like probably 1 in 3. But now that we just take like pretty much a straight line to get through this, like he has to do his like jumping dive attack to hit us here. And even then I don't think that's gonna kill us in 1 hit. And I haven't been hit by it in so long I actually couldn't even tell you. But this section is pretty solid. And then going up through the top of the mountains here, the bow and arrow guy, he can troll with an arrow on the way getting to the bonfire over here. However, we have a new line to set up the second half of this where he doesn't aggro anymore. The only thing that can go wrong, like really, really wrong, is if Pegasus bugs out on me and I lose the glitch. But I've got a setup for that that's like 2 seconds slow, but it makes it to where that doesn't happen too often. So then at that point we're gonna hit up the bonfire right before Fire Giant. So really the biggest concern for these next few minutes is dodging this arrow right here. Okay, we're good. It's actually pretty rare that the arrow goes to the right there, but as long as you juke right, it's like 99% consistent. That one always misses. He's actually hit me from back here before too, but it's pretty rare. Because you're usually around this corner by the time he lets that arrow loose. Alright, so there is an opportunity for us to get screwed over right here. Sometimes it takes us out of Pegasus when we get back on the horse over here. But what I've been doing is I've just been standing still so it doesn't kick us off by accident. And the line all the way up to the fire giant grace is pretty much free at this point. We have a new line that we do that's pretty nice. So the next area that we're already thinking about is, we're still about 5 minutes away. 4 or 5 minutes, I would say. Is the Sanguine Noble. Alright, there's a snow field here. I can't really see. I think I'm going the right way. I try to use the compass, but I'm aiming for a specific giant that's, like, dead over here. The next, like, major problem in this run is the Sanguine Noble, but I labbed this the other day that if you just run down the cliff instead of trying to jump, it's actually very consistent. I fell one time, but it's because I was, like, almost trying to fall. But if you just, like, run down, it's pretty consistent. So that means that getting through Moog should be pretty free. I say should because, I mean, you never know. Sometimes the noble, it's not really a Sanguine Noble that's there, but it's the other blood dude that's guarding the Somber 10. There, he controls sometimes, but I've got a double quit out strat there that works pretty well. Sometimes it's a triple quit out if the spiky dudes are mean, but the next part that we're going to be thinking about really is kind of that, and then Fire Giant is another big one that we're thinking about as well. All right, let's level up. I lost time because of that setup earlier. I didn't realize it was 15 seconds, but I might have to delete that gold because I feel like I've made some changes that have made that line a little bit slower than it has been in the past. I'm going to have to look into that line a bit and see what's going on. Because, yeah, I lost like 15 on that, and I definitely shouldn't have lost 15. It should have only been like 5 or 6. These guys being nice. Alright, yeah, they're fighting over there. We should be good. Alright, that should be good. It was close. It was very close. It's almost not good. Yeah, that shouldn't have been 15 off of my gold, so I think my gold is not right there. I'm gonna have to go in and look at that one after this run, because it shouldn't be that much time that I'm losing. All right, so this is where the Sanguine Noble is coming through. And like I said, I've got a pretty nice setup for this now, so I think as long as I don't fall off the cliff, we should be good. Yo, Loops, it's going. How are you, buddy? We've got a better setup for the Pegasus glitch in Mogwin Palace as well, so we've got a lot of things here that are significantly improved from my PB. Like on my PB, like this was more this section was more nerve-wracking for me than the end game bosses. He's coming, and I'm going. Please don't do this game. Okay. So yeah, we basically just run off the ledge right there. That's like the nice consistent way of doing it. Saves a few seconds, too. That was a good quit out for once, I think. Hopefully. Oh, yeah, he got G-baited for sure, dude. Alright, let's see. We're going to walk off this ledge. Very good. Alright, good. Gonna skip the cutscene, of course. Gonna quit out. And hope that we get the skip on the first try. Oh, come on. Nice. I'll consider that first try. Alright, 50-20, SNF plus 10.
Those are the channel one.
Good. Boom. Alright, let's hope Fire Giant behaves. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, shit. Oh, thank God. That was a little slow. But thank God I didn't just, like, completely miss the window. Very nice.
I as well, and death are you to commit. Don't let my hand.
That's possible, looking kind of juicy. Yeah, and there's still like another 30 seconds up for grabs too. On Melania. What's raising the intelligence for? It is so that I can do more damage with my beam. You know what's crazy? I could be 30 seconds faster here too if it wasn't for the fact that I'm just like actually doing a route that's slower than what everyone else is doing. That Volcano Manor setup is like 30 seconds faster. Like I wouldn't be 30 seconds faster entirely because that route also gets the talisman early in the run, but I guess technically by the time I get my armor from Roger here in a minute, I guess it would be about the same. Yeah, I'm running on the down patch. I'm gonna try to stay pretty focused for the remaining bosses in the game, you guys. Specifically, Godskin Duo. Pretty much from Godskin Duo until the end of the run. I'll try to chat a little bit when there's downtime, but I really do want to try to stay focused on the rest of this run because I'm really happy with the pace that we have right now, and I don't want to lose it. So if I'm not talking, you guys know why. Duo's not too bad of a fight, but he's the frickin' Apostle's been trolling, and I just don't want to run any chance that I'm not focused if he decides to troll, so. This is gonna be a slow fight, but should be fine. What am I doing? Come on. Got him. Slow fight, whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it was slow, but yeah, I mean, I definitely played it safe there for sure. I'm gonna grab the talisman, because, like, why not, you know? I feel like it's better to play it safe than sorry when I'm on this kind of a pace. Yeah, that fight was like 10 some odd seconds slow. Oops. Oh, that was rough. It's very rough. Nerves slowly kicking in. A little bit. I'm actually less nervous for this part of the run than I am for, like, Fia's Champions. But I will definitely be my most nervous if this fight makes it to Melania. That is the fight that is going to end the run. If it's like, if my run's gonna end, that's gonna be the fight that'll do me in. Godfrey control a little bit too, but I have a strat for Godfrey that's very consistent. So the only way that would happen is if he just like worst case scenario, I'd lose like maybe 20 or 30 seconds on Godfrey, but I mean, anything's possible. I could obviously still get wrecked either way, who knows. Alright, 24 mind. Everything I labbed for 10 hours the other day needs to pay off here. There's some runners that don't even do Malekith till like way later in the fight, or later in the run. All right, I'm gonna focus here.
Thou who approacheth destined death, I will not have it stolen.
This is decent. No. Oh, this isn't good at all. Come on, just die right here, buddy. Oh no. Come on, dude. Oh, thank God. That was so bad, dudes. That was so bad. That was a horrible fight. That is the worst Malekith I've had in so long. I thought that he was going to do something completely different. I thought he was going to go in and... Or, sorry, my character, I thought was going to be locked in that animation, and it wasn't. So, it, like, threw off the pacing, because I had thought that I was going to be rolling out, and I didn't get back in time. And so, it threw the whole rhythm off. I am very glad I clutched it, because that would have been some colossal time loss. Nice first try. Feels good, man. Talk to Fia.
I knew you. What is it to deny like the dog? You I am, but they call me yet you. How in the first God wins out there is, and I'm before the wait another, and I must before the my hands. Will you still? How did you? Oh my! With this and claim you are mine, and though I can, I hold. And it was a new as the rulies brandished stay the by becoming. I choose, and I will in it. What great.
Alright, Lich Dragon. Just need to have a halfway decent fight here. Get him. It was a good fight. It's halfway decent. Not my best, but it was good. Oops. Come on. There we go. It's gonna be slow as shit. It's fine. Nice fight. Very nice fight. That was a good quit out. The secret is that I didn't dodge the second lightning. I took the hit on purpose. I need to make sure I switch my weapon back on my way out. Envy's always on it with being like, yo, Blade, make sure you switch your weapon back, Chief. Envy, I know you're here. Sound off. Where's my reminder? Loretta. Need to have a good fight here, guys. Troletta. Troletta. Yeah. No, 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 no. No! Come on, right here. No, dude, really? 1 HP, Miyazaki. Really? 1 HP. Rip world record. That's rip. I'm gonna still try for a PB though. Honestly, that was my fault, dude. It's my fault. I should have moved further to the right when I saw that stomp. I was expecting a bow and arrow, but it's not what I got. I could actually still get second place with a good setup. Bad fight, but it's okay. I can still PB by a lot, so. If I have a good Melania, full break Elden Beast, probably could still swing a 133.30. It'd be second place. Hello, frame rate. You know what's funny? I didn't even lose time because I normally die on this boss. That's actually hilarious. It's actually pretty funny. That was close. I almost didn't make it. aggressive, but this is good. Alright, let's see a good two-step here. 1, 2, boom. 1, 2, boom. First beam. Second beam. She didn't do it. Should be able to get a little something going here. No. I'd really appreciate it if you would fly up sometime soon here. There we go. No, don't do this. Stop that. Jesus Christ, lady. No. Shit. Sorry, we're good. Alright. Blood sacrifice for a PB. Okay. Still second place pace, but I doubt I'm going to get second place because I'm almost for sure going to lose time on Astel. I had an insanely good gold on that fight. And I'm pretty sure I stepped off that ledge way too far to the right. Which means I'm probably dead here. And so is the run. No, we're good. Sure. That should do it. Good. Yeah, this is definitely a glitch. Definitely a glitch. Alright, Astel, let's have a good fight. Maybe be nice, just a little bit. I could kill him earlier than that if it wasn't for the fact that he trolled a little bit there, but it's cool. Alright, hopefully Godfrey plays nice. Godfrey.
Thy strength befits a crown.
All right. Very nice Godfrey fight. Yo, thank you for the 17 months, Sheppy. Not gonna be second place, but it is third. Dude, Loretta literally cost me a world record. GG, guys. At least we got a PB, right? Loretta literally cost me record. It was all Loretta. Minute and a half just disappeared. This would have been a record by like probably 5 seconds, maybe. It was probably more than a minute and a half, to be honest. Because I ran around like an idiot for way too long. Sub 135 though, feels good, man. Yeah, Loretta is the only thing keeping me from record at this point. Which, honestly, it was just RNG, to be honest. That was a really good run. Melania was pretty slow, too.
Welcome to the family, son.
Hey, Loops. Thank you for the tier 1, dude. This might be a 134.18. Let's Alt F4 and see. Let's find out. God, this run was so good until it wasn't, guys. This run was so good until it wasn't. There's so much room to improve. Like, we still have 6 minutes we can save in this run. 2 minutes in the end game. Yeah, this very well could have been record, guys. Had it not been for Loretta. I mean, we were way under record pace. We were way under. We had like a minute to spare And then it all fell apart right there at the end. All right, let's see. Yeah, 134.18. So we're 16 seconds behind Kata. And minute and a half behind record. Fucking Loretta, man. Fucking Loretta, dude. I also had like a super troll gargoyle, and Fia's champions were okay.
Better take it with you.
Hey, Pixit, thank you for the gift sub to Jack Me. Appreciate it. Yo, thank you, Mitch. Yo, congrats on that fucking huge world record, dude.